I wanted to show you this because so this is NFL Game Day. Okay, NFL Game Day selected 4 Lions for the under 25, the all under 25 team. There are 4 Lions on this list. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and of course Penei Sewell. And when you look at growth, when you look at building a roster, if there's a better roster construction than what Brad Holmes has done for this organization, find him for me. This is incredible to have 1 player on this list, let alone 4. Houston has a player. The Rams have 2 on here. That I don't think any other team has.
3.
Oh, they have 3.
So Lions have 5 total. Aiden's on it.
Aiden's on the other
defense,
side.
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable stuff, man.
The interesting thing about it is you can tell what the Lions focus on. You can tell what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell's mission was. The mission was, it was offense. You got 4 guys on that list that are on offense. That's what the Lions' identity is. That's how the Lions are going to be so good for a very long time. Now it's time to get a couple of those guys on defense. Brian Branch is a guy that I think if he played the whole year last year, could have been on this list. Can't wait to see what Terry Arnold's going to be. But now is a chance to get some of these young defensive guys on that team because now you get 4 on this side. You can get 2 defensive players on this list. Your team is going to be cooking with grease for a minute.
Overreaction Thursday. Overreaction Thursday. Overreaction Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
Save the tape. Okay?
Here
Got
we go.
you.
Save the tape for 8 years to 8 to 12 years from now.
Okay.
All 4 players on that list for the Detroit Lions will be Hall of Famers.
Hold on.
Woo-hoo.
Penei Sewell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Wow.
Not only will they be Pro Bowlers, they will be Hall of Famers. All 4 of these guys. And that's where you really hit the home run. Penei Sewell, I think, is the best in the game right now. In fact, this is what Kayvon Thibodeau had to say about Penei Sewell. You ready for this?
There you go.
That's all right. So I'll just read it for you. Giants defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau was asked if he has any fears in life. He said, "No, I'm not afraid of ghosts or anything like that. But I will say it's scary how Penei Sewell has manhandled us."
That's real. That's real deal.
I mean, so Penei
Film don't lie.
That's one, okay? And even if you don't want to,
We live in a different world because when I played, guys wouldn't be like he manhandled us.
Right. I'm like,
he manhandled us.
You're right.
Like, we
So
living-
much-
you can't just admit that, even if he did.
Oh, they're on the same.
Gentlemen.
I forgot they played the same team in college.
No, okay.
They did.
gentlemen,
I forgot.
it's a much softer society.
True.
It's true.
Okay, a much
Big
softer
facts.
society.
All right,
Big
It is.
facts.
Okay, even if you don't want to go along with me and say those 4 are Hall of Famers, you will. I know you will all give me Penei Sewell, correct?
Absolutely.
Funniest thing is I was thinking to have a typical Braylon response and try to get on the opposite side of you, and I legitimately think 3 of those for sure are going to be like have ridiculous odds to make the Hall of Fame.
And honestly, the guy that I don't, if
would be Jahmyr.
would Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr,
Yeah.
because it's just and only because of the position
Yes.
and what we've seen how hard it is to maintain at that position.
Right.
He had a shelf life.
100%. So that would be the only guy that I would.
That's the only guy.
Yeah.
But you know,
They just work. They're workhorses.
They
and workhorses
are.
only get better.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I don't look at it from one season of, oh well, I might have 14 this year, and blah. I just see how hard they work. And I remember watching the guys that work the hardest. It is no secret. The guys that work the hardest, the guys that pay attention, the guys that lock in and lead, those guys end up in Canton. Like, nothing about that is make-believe. And all 3 guys you name, and then the guy you name 4th is following in those 3 guys' footsteps.
And again, if you had to, we've only seen Laporta for 1 year. We've only seen Gibbs for 1 year. but the production from Amon-Ra is only going to skyrocket. The production for Penei Sewell, he's only going to get better. And Amon-Ra has developed a reputation now as a I think he's really, his comp to me is like a Hines Ward. Hines Ward, one of the most reliable, dependable, tough, winning players.
Yeah, that was my comparison. I like that one. That's a good one.
You know?
It is. And I think he's even and the thing about it, I think where he's different, he's a better route runner than Hines.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like that's where he adds a different value. He's a better route runner than I. He catches with his hands. Hines, although he didn't drop passes, was a ball catcher like in the stomach. What happens when you do that, you lose routes, you lose a little bit of yards, you lose a little bit of momentum. And I know I'm being picky right now, but Amon-Ra runs a great starting point, but he runs better routes. It's legit. I mean, we don't want to. At the end of the day, I know people out there like, oh, you guys are crowning everybody. Yeah, look, we're not trying to crown people off 1 year. Sam Laporta, we know it's a system. You got a ways to go, but when you just see people get better and better as the season goes along, when you see people become dependable, trustworthy, when you see him, you won't need a 5-game sample size to see how good Sam Laporta is going to be in his career. We saw it last year, and you're going to see it right away this year. And it's about popularity nowadays. Like getting in the Hall of Fame is about popularity. It's about what teams did you play on, and were you successful when you played on those teams. Well, the Lions are right now in that popular space, but this isn't a trend. It's not going anywhere because Brad Holmes is bringing in the consistent pieces each season, so they'll have sustained success. When you see the guys going to the Hall of Fame, they come from the 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, the Patriots. I mean, like that's what you see. Those teams won for a very long time.
Isn't that who you strive to be? Isn't that who these guys will strive to be, even if they fall short of the Hall of Fame, okay? Which is an incredibly lofty thing to say about somebody that's played 1 year. Or even a couple of years, because it's not, people don't go to the Hall of Fame for having a good 2 or 3 year stretch. I mean, it's an elongated period of time. So
you got to put in the work.
Even if you think that's an overstatement, don't you see these players as players who are capable of getting there? They have everything that it takes to get there, and that's all you can ask for in a player.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
getting in the Hall takes a lot. It takes coaching. It takes, you got to win a championship. You got to be lucky. You got to, stay the course. You got to be healthy in the relation of health. Health has to last the years. But at the end of the day, if you have these things, these are what the questions ask. When you say a hypothetical is, if all these things play out the way they're playing, I can't see a situation where Amon-Ra, and I can't see a situation where Penei Sewell for sure are Hall of Fame.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Bray.
Tight ends are hard.
No,
Pause.
Rank it for me. Of these 4 players, and we'll put Aiden Hutchinson in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, of those 5 players, rank for me the players that are most likely to get to Canton to least of those 5. You go, Braylon. Or do you want me to go, or do you go? You go.
I can go.
You go.
I can go.
I think our list might be the same.
Number 1 is Penei Sewell.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
3 is Aiden Hutchinson.
Ooh.
4 is Laporta. And 5 is Gibbs.
Okay, KG.
It's just so tough. And the only reason I say this, when it comes to tight ends, and I know Laporta is damn good.
Yeah.
Like he had a better year, in a decade? He's had the best season.
Anybody in the history of
and then he had the best
position.
season probably statistically of tight ends.
Yeah.
Maybe him, George Kittle, and Kelsey could do the song and dance. There have only been 2 tight ends to get in the Hall of Fame in the last 10, 15 years.
That's true.
Like tight end and kicker are tough to get into it. You got who just got in last? Who's the last tight end to get in? Antonio Gates.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think did Gates get in?
I think he did.
Yeah, he got in.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yep, he did. Yep.
He got in last year.
Yeah.
Gates.
And look at who he was.
And the next one will be Grunk. And that won't happen that'll happen in another 3 years.
And Tony's already in.
And then Kelsey.
And Kelsey.
And Kelsey.
But Kelsey still play. But you see how long it is? Every year you got 2 new receivers going in. You got 2 offensive linemen going in. And you got a defensive end going in. Like each year. So that's why I think Aiden over Laporta.
Okay.
But I'm sorry.
I'm not mad at that. Of course, Penei, 1 for me. 2 would be Hutch for me. Because I feel like at the edge rusher position, you have a lot better chance to stand out and make that type of leap in your career. 3 would be Amon-Ra, 4 would be Laporta, and 5 would be Gibbs for me.
I'm going Sewell, going Amon-Ra. I'm going Laporta. Then I'm going Hutch, and then I'm going Gibbs. And the reason I'm putting Hutchinson fourth on this list is because there are players with gaudy sack numbers.
That's what I was.
He
I was
does
about to
not
say.
have. You can talk to him about the pressures all you want.
But he can get there.
He can get there.
Yeah.
He can get there. But I want to see it.
Right.
See,
Right.
like all those other players that I've seen the actual production.
I feel it,
I've
yeah.
seen Laporta's production. I've seen Amon-Ra's production. I've seen Gibbs's production. I have seen the pressures.
You've seen the potential.
From the
Yeah.
potential
Of Aiden.
to be there.
Yeah.
If he gets a little bit of help from Marcus Davenport, if he gets a little bit of help from DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil, and now you've got yourself a little bit of a defensive line and you don't have to do everything yourself, great. But I got to see those sack numbers get into double-digit, consistent double-digit sacks each and every year. He can get there. I think he will get there, but I put him fourth because I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, not mad at that.
So that's where I stand with that.
I agree. I mean, I'm still waiting to see the continuance out of Aiden Hutchins. I just, once again, the tight end position is tough to get in, Ken. It's
Yeah.
tough to get in right now, and it's frankly easier to get sacks now than it is touchdowns. And that's what I think. I think it's easier to get sacks now than touchdowns. I think it'd be easier for Aiden Hutchins starting with a real defensive line, an NFL consistent throughout the left to the right defensive line.
Yeah.
It's easy for Aiden to find 14 sacks, and I'm not minimizing how good Aiden Hutchinson is. It's easy to find 14 sacks. It's hard to find touchdowns, like especially as a rookie, what Laporta did as a tight end.
Yeah.
It's tough to find 11
But
touchdowns.
It does help his case that he had the best rookie tight end season
Right.
since Mike Dicker. So,
This is true.
Yeah,
In the
man.
long run, yeah.
So if he just can continually, stay at
Mike
that
Dicker has
1,000-yard, maybe not double-digit touchdown, but if he can stay at that 1,000-yard, maybe 8-9 touchdown pace, I can see him getting in there.
And I'll tell
you,
you, one of the things with all these young players, you just can't waste this now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very reminiscent of the Tigers' 06 to 16 run, really the 06 to 13 run, but we'll just call it the decade of 06 to 16. It was great to get to 2 World Series championships, but if you look at your watch, it's been 40 years since the Detroit Tigers won a World Series.
Sir.
They got there a couple of times with Jim Leland. They never won it. I think you look at this Detroit Lions team, you see all this young talent, all of this great young talent, a quarterback that's been to a Super Bowl, a defense that's improved, a coaching staff that has been together for 4 years now. You have got to pay it off with a Super Bowl win at some point here over the next 3 or 4 years. And I don't know if that's this year or next year or the year after that, but you cannot waste this era of Lions football without, heaven forbid, not making it to a Super Bowl. But even more so than that, you've got to come away with a championship, in my opinion. You've got to win one. You cannot waste an accumulation of talent that is built into a team like this, like the Tigers did.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, it sucks. You're in a space you look at the 49ers. The 49ers have been close. They've been knocking on heaven's door, 7 years now, Ryan?
Yeah.
But you know what they have to fall back on? They got 94 to fall back on. They got the whole 80s decade. It was them and the Giants. So they have rings to fall back on, even if it wasn't theirs.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily look at the 49ers in that light. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills, like you look at that window. Can you imagine I think it's done. So let's just say it now. Just look at this span that the Buffalo Bills had in the last 5 years. They blew it.
They did.
For whatever reason you want to blame it on, whether it was Dayball leaving or whether it was they weren't on the same page or they didn't get a running game, they had Josh Allen, they had Brian Daboll, they had a defense, they had the number 1 defense in the league. They had this era, they had this space, they had everybody saying Buffalo, Buffalo
Bills
Mafia,
Mafia.
Bills Mafia. That era has come and gone. And they got nothing to show for it but a couple Pro Bowls from Josh Allen and 1 game in which they almost beat.
Right, because of a coin flip.
Because they almost beat the Buffalo Bills. That could be the Lions if they don't step up because we don't have a Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills didn't have a Super Bowl to fall back on. We don't have a Super Bowl to fall back on, so they'll just say, man, remember 2023 or 2024 when the Lions were this close? They got to the NFC Championships a couple times, so you got to put a championship trophy with however long this run's gonna be. You got to put a Lombardi Trophy with it, because if you don't, then it's all for naught.